Welcome to the School of the Lost Tribes. Your charity helps generate the lessons needed to seal the chosen before the destruction. Leviticus 23:32. It shall be unto you a Sabbath of rest, and ye shall afflict your souls. In the 9th day of the month at even, from even unto even, shall ye celebrate your Sabbath. This command refers specifically to the Day of Atonement, Yom Kippur, but it confirms a broader principle about how all Sabbaths are to be observed, from even unto even, meaning from sunset to sunset. This verse provides the clearest instruction on when the Sabbath begins and ends, and it was given directly to the children of Israel as part of their national covenantal law. In the exclusive doctrine of the Israelites, this time marker is crucial. It reinforces the identity and obedience of Israel as a distinct people, set apart not only in who they worship, but in how they measure and honor time. The Sabbath is a sign between the Most High and the house of Israel throughout their generations. Exodus 31:16 through 17. And this verse shows that the method of observance is not flexible or symbolic. It is exact and bound to creation order. Genesis 1:5. The command to afflict your souls shows that the Sabbath is more than physical rest. It is spiritual reflection and submission. For the dispersed of Israel, returning to this sacred pattern is part of reconnecting with their heritage. Keeping the Sabbath from even to even is a testimony that they still belong to the covenant, even while living among nations. Thus, Leviticus 23:32 confirms that the Sabbath was never abolished or altered. Deuteronomy 16:5 through 6. Thou mayest not sacrifice the Passover within any of thy gates, which the Lord thy God giveth thee. But at the place which the Lord thy God shall choose to place his name in, there thou shalt sacrifice the Passover at even, at the going down of the sun, at the season that thou camest forth out of Egypt. These verses focus on the Passover, another of Israel's appointed feasts, and they offer further confirmation of how sacred time is reckoned at even, at the going down of the sun. This aligns with the Sabbath's timing, reinforcing the even-to-even pattern already established in Genesis 1:5 and Leviticus 23:32. The day begins at sunset, not sunrise or midnight. In the framework of the exclusive doctrine of the Israelites, this command affirms that both the timing and the location of Israel's observances are set by the Most High and tied directly to national identity. The Israelites are instructed not to offer the Passover sacrifice just anywhere. They must do it where the Lord places his name, i.e., in the place of his choosing, originally the tabernacle and later the temple in Jerusalem. This precision reflects divine ownership and covenant authority over Israel's worship. It's not personal interpretation or tradition, but submission to a God-ordained order. As with the Sabbath, Passover is not a universal observance for all mankind. It is specifically given to the children of Israel to keep in remembrance of their deliverance from Egypt, an event that did not include or apply to the Gentile nations. Therefore, Deuteronomy 16:5 through 6 not only teaches when Passover should be observed, but also echoes the same principle that governs the Sabbath. Holy time is divinely appointed, tied to Israel's history, and to be kept in obedience by the descendants of Jacob alone. Matthew 16:1-2. The Pharisees also with the Sadducees came, and tempting desired him that he would show them a sign from heaven. He answered and said unto them, When it is evening, ye say, It will be fair weather, for the sky is red. Though not directly about the Sabbath, this passage reveals a key detail about how time and signs were understood among the Israelites. The Messiah is speaking to the religious leaders of his day, exposing their hypocrisy. They could interpret natural signs, such as changes in the sky at evening, but were blind to the spiritual signs unfolding before them. The reference to evening here is critical. It confirms the cultural and scriptural understanding among Israelites that time shifts, decisions, and observations are made as a new day begins at sundown. This matches the evening-to-evening framework seen in Genesis 1:5 and Leviticus 23:32, reinforcing that sundown marks the transition between days. The Messiah uses this shared understanding to highlight their blindness. not just to the sky, but to the signs of the times and his identity. In light of the exclusive doctrine of the Israelites, this verse serves as a subtle confirmation that the Messiah and his audience lived by the Israelite reckoning of time. The Sabbath would have been kept from evening to evening, and their entire worship cycle depended on signs observed at these natural thresholds. The leaders knew this, yet, despite knowing the timing and structure of God's order, they missed the most important sign of all, the presence of the Son of Man. Therefore, Matthew 16:1-2 affirms that the Israelite understanding of time, including Sabbath timing, was intact and practiced during the Messiah's ministry. It also warns against outward knowledge of signs. Exodus 28-11. Remember the Sabbath day, to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work. But the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is, and rested the seventh day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. This passage is part of the 10 Commandments given to the children of Israel at Mount Sinai. It commands Israel to remember the Sabbath day, to call it to mind and observe it continuously through their generations. The Sabbath is not a new ordinance here. It is being reaffirmed as part of Israel's national covenant. The instruction to keep it holy means to set it apart for sacred use, not merely as a day off, but as a divine appointment for worship and reflection. In the exclusive doctrine of the Israelites, this command identifies the Sabbath as a covenantal sign between the Most High and his chosen people. The Gentile nations were never given this command. It is tied directly to creation, verse 11, and codified exclusively for Israel. The rest modeled by the Creator was embedded into the life rhythm of Israel, setting them apart from all other nations. The mention of everyone within an Israelite's household, including servants and strangers within the gates, shows that the entire national structure was to pause in recognition of the Sabbath. Yet the obligation was on Israel as the covenant holders to enforce and preserve it. This law is not spiritualized or abrogated in the New Testament. Rather, it remains a lasting testimony of Israel's identity and obedience. Thus, Exodus 28-11 affirms the Sabbath as a divinely sanctified institution, rooted in creation, Exodus 23:12. 6 days thou shalt do thy work, and on the seventh day thou shalt rest, that thine ox and thine ass may rest, and the son of thy handmaid and the stranger may be refreshed. This verse reinforces the seventh-day Sabbath as a perpetual command to the children of Israel, deeply woven into the rhythm of their national life. The instruction to rest on the seventh day is not only for individual piety, but extends to all aspects of an Israelite's household and economy, including livestock, servants, and even the stranger within their gates. In the exclusive doctrine of the Israelites, this verse once again shows that the Sabbath was a national ordinance for Israel alone. The mention of the stranger does not universalize the command, but refers to non-Israelites dwelling under Israelite rule or within Israelite households. These strangers were to come under the governance and sanctity of Israel's laws while among them. It was Israel's responsibility to maintain the sanctity of the Sabbath, and the stranger's rest was a reflection of Israel's obedience, not their own independent covenant. Even the animals were to benefit from this divine rest, indicating how deeply the Sabbath was meant to permeate all of Israelite society. The weekly cessation of labor was not merely about avoiding work, but about creating space for covenant reflection, communal worship, and restoration of order as God intended it. Thus, Exodus 23:12 underscores that the Sabbath is both a command and a blessing, designed to preserve and distinguish Israel as a holy nation. It was not given to the world, but to a people called out of bondage, to serve their God in righteousness